So we've got this billion-dollar health deal. On paper, it looks like a total game changer for an entire nation. But when you start to peel back the layers, well, that's where you find accusations of exploitation and a huge political mess. So let's get into it.
Okay, so this is the number at the very heart of this story, $1.012 billion. That's what the United States is offering Zambia as part of a brand new 5-year health financing agreement.
And, I mean, on the surface, you hear that number and you think, wow, that's transformative, right? This is supposed to be a chance to completely build up Zambia's health system. We're talking treating diseases like HIV and malaria, hiring tens of thousands of new healthcare workers. The whole thing is being sold as this great partnership for a healthier future.
But yeah, that's not the whole picture. Not even close. Because a leaked draft of this agreement has started circulating, and suddenly advocacy groups are throwing around words like shameless exploitation. They're raising some really serious alarms. So the big question is, what is really going on here?
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this whole controversy, we have to start with the basics. Let's look at what's actually on the table. Right, so all the details we're going to talk about, they come from that leaked document I mentioned, which is called a Memorandum of Understanding, or, an MOU. Think of it as the blueprint for this whole 5-year partnership. It lays out exactly what each side is promising to do.
And like with any big deal, right, the devil's always in the details. So now, let's start unpacking the fine print, the conditions tied to this $1 billion that have so many people worried.
So here's the basic trade-off. The U.S. puts up the $1 billion. But, and this is a big but, in return, Zambia has to bring $400 million of its own money to the table. They also have to hire this huge new health workforce, 40,000 people. And on top of all that, they have to hit these really strict performance targets. And if they slip up, Washington can just pull the plug on the funding. All of it.
Okay, but this next part, this is where the alarm bells really start going off. The deal says Zambia has to give the U.S. access to its health data for 10 years. And get this, it also demands access to data on any new pathogens, like new viruses or bacteria, for the next 25 years. I mean, from what we're hearing, these terms are way, way more demanding than what the U.S. has worked out with 16 other African countries.
And listen to how one Zambian human rights director put it. For critics, this isn't just some technical detail buried in a contract. No, this is about something fundamental. We're talking about national sovereignty and the privacy of every single citizen in the country.
So you've got the health stuff, you've got the data stuff, but the leaked document reveals there's another layer to this whole deal. And believe it or not, it has absolutely nothing to do with healthcare.
And here it is, the bombshell. The MOU states, clear as day, that this entire health agreement is tied to collaboration in Zambia's mining sector. And it's not just a rumor, the U.S. Embassy in Zambia actually confirmed it.
Yeah, the document doesn't even try to hide it. It states a clear goal of, and I'm quoting here, expanding U.S. commercial investment in Zambia. So for the people protesting this, it suddenly looks a lot less like foreign aid and a whole lot more like a business deal, one that's using healthcare as a pretty powerful bargaining chip.
So as you can imagine, this all blows up. Zambia's health minister at the time, a man named Elijah Muchima, goes on TV, and he flat out denies it. He says, no, there's no link between the health money and mining. He insisted the only conditions were about how the health funds would be spent.
Well, the fallout from that was incredibly fast. Just 3 days after he went on TV and denied everything, the president fired him. No official reason given, just gone. The timing, I think you'll agree, kinda speaks for itself.
So, in the midst of all this, how are people in Zambia actually reacting? Well, civil society groups are mobilizing, and they are pushing back hard. This quote here from a top Zambian activist, Julius Kachidza, just nails the feeling on the ground. It's like being held hostage. It perfectly captures the sense that the country's entire health system is being used as leverage for other economic goals.
And for Kachidza, this is also deeply, deeply personal. He makes it clear that for him, and for hundreds of thousands of other Zambians, this is not some abstract political debate. Any interruption in funding for, say, HIV treatment, well, that has immediate, life-or-death consequences.
And they're not just protesting either. They have a very clear list of demands. First, they want all those data-sharing rules gone. Poof! Second, they want a seat on the committee that oversees the deal. They also want the latest version of the agreement made public for everyone to see.
And if that doesn't happen, they're threatening to take the government to court to challenge the whole thing. So you add all this up, and it leaves the Zambian government stuck between a rock and a hard place, facing what feels like an impossible choice.
And just when you think it can't get more complicated, there's one last pretty stunning detail. If you look at the numbers, the total amount of U.S. health aid proposed for 2026 under this New Deal, which is supposed to cover the entire health system, is actually less than what the U.S. gave in 2025 for its HIV program alone. So even though it's $1 billion over 5 years, year to year, it's actually a funding cut.
I mean, look at this trade-off. It is brutal. On one hand, they can accept the deal. If they do, they risk losing control over their citizens' health data and their own natural resources. But on the other hand, if they reject the deal, they face a sudden loss of funding that could cause the health system to collapse, disrupt services people rely on to live, and create huge political chaos.
And here's the kicker. They don't have much time to figure this out. There's a clause in the MOU that says if a final agreement isn't signed by April 1st, the whole process is terminated. The clock is absolutely ticking.
So in the end, it all boils down to this, doesn't it? We have a deal that truly could save lives, but it comes with a very, very heavy price tag attached, paid for in national sovereignty and natural resources. And it just leaves you with this incredibly difficult question. When people's lives are literally on the line, what price is too high?